Anytime we run into an electrical hazard, it can be very life-threatening to our responders. With all the other things we're worried about, with fire and traffic and everything else, electricity is just another one of those things that we have to deal with. It's important for us to determine where and how to shut off the electricity. Crawling around, our boots have an electrical hazard rating on them, but they're not tested. In fact, if they've had a hole in them, and every firefighter's had a pair of boots that's had a hole in them, they're no good anymore for that. And we aren't walking on our feet. In most cases in a house fire, we're crawling. So we're crawling in wet gear in a wet environment, and you can crawl right across to an outlet or a cord that's laying on the ground that's energized, and then find yourself in a lot of trouble. The problem with electricity is it's silent. It's a silent killer. You don't know it's there unless you've confirmed that it's not. It's always considered to be there. Everything is considered energized. Everything on a pole, any wire coming down off the pole could be energized if it's in contact with another wire. So in a house, unless you've been told and confirmed that it's de-energized, consider everything energized in that house.
The usable voltage of the consumer, that 120 volt, is more than sufficient to kill you. It's 50 volts to push a quarter of an amp through the human body, and that's enough to kill you.
People always think about how many volts are there, and it's really not the voltage that hurts you, it's the current that hurts you. And it takes less than 1 amp to kill you. A standard outlet in a house, a normal breaker for a standard outlet would be 15 amps minimum. It could be up to 20 amps. So there's plenty of current available in a standard outlet to kill you. So we want to avoid any contact with electricity whatsoever. Everybody wants to get in and get going. Fire can grow very rapidly. So taking the time to secure the utilities can be a challenge for some departments because it takes another person to do that. And then if you get there and you can't shut things off outside, it's very tempting to try and do other things, and you really have to wait for the utility at that point. And that can be a very difficult thing to do with emergency responders. You can never train enough for an occupation that you can die in. So even as a volunteer, the risk is still there. A fire is a fire. It doesn't care whether you're being paid to be there or whether you volunteered to be there. So it's important for both volunteers and career fire departments to focus on this thing. And it doesn't happen very often. That's the thing. It isn't a huge risk factor because we don't see it happen so much, but when it does, it's a tragedy. So we want to make sure we're prepared for that, realizing that the electricity is in every house. It's going to be in every incident that we respond to, at least as in a structure. So we need to make sure that we have a plan to mitigate that.
Education on how to deal with a power line situation, a utility situation, will greatly decrease the likelihood of a fatality to a first responder due to the situation.